Chapter 4. In the Middle of a Nightmare. The horse reared up with a frantic neigh. Emma pressed her body toward the wall, trying to escape the menacing hooves. It was hard to breathe, and she was scared to death. Even though there was some light over in the corner, she couldn't see more than the contours of the horse. Something dark and woolen filled the stable, and it felt like it would suffocate her. And this unbearable heat! She had to get out of there, away from this horrible danger, which was surrounding her in here. But how could she get around the horse? It was blocking the way to the door. Then the enormous body rose up on its hind legs again, and for a moment, Emma could see the horse quite clearly. Its beautiful head, the white star on the forehead. Then the hooves shot out, down toward the girl crouching on the floor. Where did she come from? Who was she? Emma wanted to warn her, but not a sound came out of her mouth. From somewhere far away, she heard a voice calling, "Amelia, where are you?" Emma looked around in shock. What had happened? Was the dangerous horse still there? She scampered to get away, and then she realized she was lying on the floor in her own room. It was light outside. Emma crawled back into bed and squinted to see the alarm clock. 6:30. She pushed the alarm button before it had a chance to start ringing. What a horrible nightmare. As she shuffled into the bathroom to take a shower, Emma realized that the dream reminded her of the one she'd had the night before. She hadn't seen the horse properly then, but this time she had. It was the horse behind the fireplace. A real horse who had lived once, not just a fantasy horse she'd happened to dream about. Emma shuddered, even though it was nice and warm in the bathroom. What did this all mean? Why had she started having such awful dreams? Back home in the city, she never had nightmares. So why now? The oddest part of it was that she had dreamt about this horse even before it appeared in the fireplace, and before she'd seen a picture of it. The girl who'd been crouching on the floor, was that the girl in the picture? Emma suddenly felt quite sure that it was. Somebody had called her name. Was it her dad? Had he been trying to save her? Emma had a horrible feeling that he had been too late. Nobody could survive an attack like that. But why had it happened? Was the horse completely mad? No normal horse would attack the person who cared for it and gave it food. Had Emma dreamt about something that actually happened? She speculated about this while she hurried over to the stable to give Troy his breakfast and quickly clean his stall before biking to school. But if all this had actually happened, if the horse had killed, was it Amelia's voice that had called to her in the dream? And if the horse had killed Amelia, why in the world should she, Emma, have to relive it? Emma stopped short outside the stable door. A terrible thought occurred to her. Could ghosts harm anyone? What if the mad horse had been in Troy's stable last night? What if he... Just then, Emma heard a loud neigh from Troy. But it wasn't a neigh of panic. He was saying loud and clear that it was about time he got some food around here. Emma felt almost numb with relief. Troy was okay. Of course he was. She opened the stable door, and Troy greeted her excitedly. All right, I'll give you some food. Lots of food," Emma said with a laugh. She went over to him and stroked his muzzle. He snuffled her hands as if he was hoping to find some breakfast there. "You'd think you hadn't had any food for a week," said Emma, scratching him on the forehead, before she quickly got out some pellets and oats for him. "Here you go. Have this, and then I'll take you out in the pasture before I leave for school." Troy attacked the treats and chewed them down with a ferocious appetite. It was pretty clear that nothing had scared him during the night. He looked as perky and fit as could be. And now, in broad daylight, Emma felt sure he was safe. Well, almost sure at least. At school that day, Emma found it very hard to concentrate on her work. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the nightmare, and even if logic told her that it was only a bad dream and didn't mean anything, She had an increasingly strong feeling of danger. But what could be dangerous? Troy was outside in the pasture. The weather was nice. Why shouldn't he be safe? Emma closed her eyes and envisioned him walking around contentedly, nibbling on juicy tufts of grass. But what if Troy was no longer alone in the pasture? Suddenly she pictured a scene in her inner eye. Troy was walking beside a big bay horse with a white star on the forehead, blissfully ignorant that his new friend wasn't a friend at all, but a dangerous enemy. Emma tried to tell herself she was being ridiculous, but when her last class was over, she raced off to her bike with a quick "see you tomorrow" to her classmates. She pedaled as fast as she could and was sweaty and out of breath when she finally arrived home. Her dad came out to meet her on the front porch. "Hi," he said, smiling. "I'm supposed to say hi from Mom. She got there all right and has—" "Great," interrupted Emma, without even looking at him. She, who'd waited so impatiently for her mom to call, now barely even noticed what her dad said. "I'm just going to check on Troy. I'll be back in a minute," she called over her shoulder. "But don't you want to—" That's all he could say before Emma disappeared around the corner. Her heart beat hard and fast, both from fear as well as from the exertion of biking so hard. She ran toward the pasture and almost collapsed with relief. There was Troy, by himself, just as he had been this morning. He waved away a fly with his tail and looked like he was half asleep. How cute he was! Emma felt a lump in her throat and had to fight back a few tears. She'd been so afraid, so deathly afraid. But why on earth had she? Troy hadn't been in any danger at all. She'd worked herself into a frenzy over nothing, just because of some stupid dreams. Emma couldn't believe how silly she'd been. People say it's so relaxing to live in the country, but she was apparently about to have a nervous breakdown or something. She'd better get herself together. Nothing bad had happened, and nothing was going to happen either. It was as simple as that. Emma hurried inside to eat. Afterwards, she'd go for a ride on Troy. Her dad was somewhat upset because the power had gone out twice, for no apparent reason. "I lost 2 pages of my manuscript," he said. "It's pretty frustrating to have to type it all over again." 2 pages isn't that bad, is it? Emma couldn't quite see what the big deal was. But why is the power coming and going like that? I thought that kind of thing only happened during thunderstorms. "I don't really know," said her dad. "I guess if the problem continues, I'd better call for someone to come and check it out. It wouldn't do at all if we ended up sitting here in a cold, dark house in the middle of winter." "Well, at least we wouldn't have to freeze," said Emma. "There's always wood, so at least we could light the fireplace." As she said it, she felt a chill creep up her spine. She threw a quick glance at the fireplace, as if she halfway expected to see something scary there. But all that was in the fireplace was ash from the logs they'd burned the night before. Emma tried to laugh at herself. Wasn't she the one who just decided there wasn't anything scary going on at all? And here she was, afraid of looking at the fireplace? She really needed to pull herself together. "Tell me about Mom," she said quickly, sitting down next to her dad. "Did she have a good trip? What's the village like, where she'll be staying? Has she started working yet?"